Are Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors heading towards the NBA's dreaded no man's land? With Steph Curry still shining, but the team's glory days fading, the Warriors face a harsh reality, stuck between chasing another title and the need to rebuild. Is this the end of an era, or can they find a way out of basketball's purgatory? Going into the 24-25 NBA season, the Warriors seem to be headed towards the dreaded territory of NBA purgatory. What is NBA purgatory, you ask? In the NBA, you want to be in two positions. You either want to be contending for a title, or you want to be rebuilding. You never want to be an average team that can't win a championship, but are too good to get high lottery picks in the NBA draft. These teams end up with average draft picks, which usually end in average players. This causes the team to stay in the same position until you decide to blow it up. And with the 24-25 NBA season looming, it seems that Steph Curry and the Warriors seem to be headed down that lonely road. Looking back at last season, the Warriors finished the season 46-36, causing them to be the 10 seed in the Western Conference. This landed them in the play-in game against the 9 seed Sacramento Kings. They unfortunately lost this game, which ended their season, which marked 2 seasons of disappointment ever since they won the championship against the Boston Celtics in the 22 NBA season. Throughout those 2 seasons, the Warriors have been marred with controversy. First, we had Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole. Then we had Draymond Green getting suspended over and over again this season. Then we had Klay Thompson struggling with his shooting. And we had Kuminga calling out Steve Kerr for his lack of playing time. And overall, the team just struggled. Without a surge in the latter half of the season, the Warriors would have even missed the play-in game. Since the height of their championship in the 2022 season, the Warriors have progressively gotten worse. They went from champions to losing in the second round of the playoffs to the Lakers, to then getting bounced in the first round of the play-in. All signs are saying that the Warriors should tank, but the issue is that they have Steph Curry. When you have a generational talent like Steph Curry, you're always in the mix, which means you can't tank and always have to try to compete for a championship. The issue is that the Warriors roster is not up to those standards. When we look at this roster, we have multiple problems to solve. First, we have Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins was the key member of the Warriors in winning their championship in the 2022 NBA season. The Andrew Wiggins that showed up in those finals has gone missing. The Warriors have not seen that same level of production he displayed in the finals. Last season, he averaged 13 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.7 assists per game. This has caused his trade value to diminish, as he is currently 29 years old and currently in his prime, but will be out of his prime once his contract ends. This basically makes Wiggins a negative asset, as only a tanking team would take him, but in exchange they would have to throw in picks. But right now, the Warriors don't have the cachet of picks like a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder. Second, we have the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors, Draymond Green. Like I said before, Draymond Green is the heart and soul of the Warriors, but with those 2 invaluable additions comes with antics. Like we saw, Draymond forced the Warriors to trade Jordan Poole after he punched him in the offseason of 22-23. Starting in the 23-24 season, he was suspended multiple times as he got into altercations with Jusuf Nurkic and Rudy Gobert. In addition to these altercations, Draymond's impact on offense is not nearly as felt as it was before, due to the lack of shooting on this roster from everyone else not named Steph Curry. The Warriors have to look at what Draymond brings to the court, but they also have to look at what he brings off the court and on the court with his antics. As we can see by looking at his advanced stats, we can see that Draymond has a defensive win share of 2.2 and an offensive win share of 1.4, totaling to an overall win share of 3.6. Additionally, he has a box plus minus of 2.4 and a value over replacement, also known as VORP, of 1.6. If you're the Warriors, you have to live with his antics, as Draymond is a key player and a net positive to the Warriors. When you get past Wiggins and Draymond, you look at the Warriors roster and realize there's not much talent. The Warriors made a move to acquire Buddy Hield to help replace the loss of Klay Thompson, but this still isn't a championship team. The Warriors have Kuminga, who the front office views as a valuable piece, but he's not good enough yet to help carry the offensive load to win a championship. The rest of the roster are filled with guys like Kyle Anderson and Gary Payton II, who can't score enough to help Steph win the championship. The Warriors are going to have to make some moves this trade deadline in order to make themselves a competitive team. There are 3 players the Warriors should monitor to see if they can trade for them. First, it'd be a reunion with a former player.
Back and forth with Patrick Beverly, I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
The Warriors should see if they can trade for Kevin Durant. It's apparent to everyone that with the way the Phoenix Suns are currently constructed, that they can't win a championship. In addition to not being able to win a championship, the Suns are currently in the second apron, meaning they have to pay a crazy amount in luxury tax and don't have the moves to build a championship team. So to get rid of cap space and to turn that team around, the Warriors could look into a trade with the Phoenix Suns. The biggest issue with that move is I don't know if KD's willing to be on the same team with Draymond again, as they had a very public falling out last time they played together. The second issue is I don't believe the Suns would trade KD to a team in the same conference, but also in the same division as them. The second option would be Brandon Ingram. The lanky 26-year-old had comparisons to Kevin Durant when he was coming into the league, but unfortunately, he hasn't reached those heights. Last season, he averaged 20.8 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 5.7 assists. The mid-range maestro is extremely efficient from the field and can fill the stat sheet. He can create for himself and others, but there's a few things that raise concerns if the Warriors were to trade for him. First, since his rookie year, Ingram has not played more than 65 games in the season. For the Warriors, they need him for a minimum of 70 games, as the Western Conference is an extremely difficult conference. Second, like Kevin Durant, Brandon Ingram plays on the Pelicans, a team in the Western Conference. Most GMs would not send one of their best players to another team in the same conference. Third, but most importantly, Brandon Ingram is a mid-range assassin, but he isn't known for his perimeter shooting. The formula to win with a Steph Curry-led team is to have Draymond facilitate to 2 or more shooters who can stretch the court from 3. With Ingram, you'd have to change that formula, and I don't know if he's good enough for the Warriors to change that formula and to still be a championship contending team. The third option is the most popular option. If you're a Warriors fan, you've been hoping the Warriors trade for Lauri Markkanen. The 7-footer would be the ultimate complement to Steph Curry and the Warriors. First, he'd help bolster up the defense. He'd be able to do this by providing great backside help at the rim, and additionally, he's shown the ability to help contain guards when it comes to the pick and roll. But most importantly, he's the perfect scoring complement to Steph Curry. He's a 7-foot forward who shoots nearly 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line. This season, he averaged 23.2 points and 8.2 rebounds. A Lauri and Steph pick and pop or pick and roll would nearly be unguardable. The Warriors could immediately be elevated to potential contenders with this move. The only issue is that Lauri just signed a contract extension with the Jazz, signaling that the Jazz might potentially want to keep him. If the Jazz do want to offload him, the Warriors don't have the draft capital or the players that the Jazz would want in order to facilitate this trade. This effectively puts a fork in those plans. Looking at the Warriors' contract issues and inability to make trades, it effectively leaves the Warriors stuck in the mud. They can't tank as they have to appease the face of the franchise, but also they can't make any moves to effectively be championship contenders. This currently leaves them as a middle-of-the-road team, meaning they'll only get middle-of-the-road draft picks, ultimately giving them middle-of-the-road talent. If you're the GM of the Warriors, what would you do? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more basketball-related content.